welcome to CEC lectures. Myself Dr. Preeti Jagwani. I am from Department of Computer Science, Arabit College, University of Delhi. Presently we are learning Java programming through a series of programming in Java, and in this series, in our previous lectures, we have established the theoretical platform for learning Java, as well as we have seen couple of programs, and then in the last lecture we have discussed about the lexical issues in Java. So lexical issues as well as data types also we have discussed, and now our today's topic is about arrays in Java. So when we talk about the term array, basically what actually an array is, it's a kind of you can say it's a group in which your similar type of variables are combined and they are referred by a common name. So for example, I am making a group of 5 integers, and that those 5 integers are having a common name, let's say A or B or any other variable name it could be. Now this is what the basic concept of arrays is, and I'm sure that you all are aware of the arrays conceptually. But why we are going to take it separately as far as Java is concerned, and we have devoted one particular lecture about it, because Java makes arrays a bit different, or I can say arrays in Java work differently than what they do in C or C++. Now how arrays in Java are actually different, that we'll be seeing in a moment. Coming to the basic platform or the basic definition of arrays, so here we can say a group of like type variables which are referred to by a common name, and any type you can create using Java. For example, you can have an integer array, or you can have a float array, and here in Java you can also have an object array. What actually object is in terms of object oriented programming, that we'll talk in our later lectures. This arrays here can have more than one dimension. The array could be one single dimensional array, or it could be multi-dimensional array. And also, in order to access the one specific element, as I have told you that, for example, let's say we have a group of 5 elements as a group of 5 integers as an array, and if we want to access the third element, or if we want to access the fourth element, fourth integer, we can do it by using its index. And so that's kind of I can say a very trivial terminology, or a very trivial kind of we can say details which you must be aware of. But what makes arrays very different here as compared to C or C++ or any other language, that we need to see. Before going into that, let us try to understand what is actually one dimensional array. So when I say one dimensional array, it's a list of like typed variables. Now when I'm saying it's a list of like typed variables, that means it is I'm talking about a single dimensional array, and in order to create the array variable of the desired type, you need to in order to create that array, we need to create an array variable, and this creation and instantiation makes arrays different here in case of Java. Now what will be the general form of one dimensional array declaration is, you need to define the type and the variable name, and then there will be a square bracket. So whenever you encounter a square bracket, that means we are talking about array. So type could be int, or it could be character, or it could be float, whatever variable name you want to have, for example A, B, and then it is followed by an opening and a closing square bracket. So basically type declares the element type, or we can say base type also. For example, here is an instance in which we are declaring integer days and square bracket opening and closing. So that means days is an array, and as we have not specified any multiple dimensions which we are going to do in our square brackets, and I can say multiple square brackets, here it is a single dimensional array which says integer. It's of days is a type of I can say integer, And now the question comes up, what will be the exactly number of this elements inside this array. So arrays basically, when being treated, are treated as objects in Java. They are not treated as primitive types. So in C and C++, they are treated as array of integers, and they are treated as primitive types. And because they are treated as primitive types, in order to determine the size or in order to determine the number of elements, we will be using the size of operator. But here in Java, when we talk about arrays, these are considered as objects, and then in order to determine the length of an object, the length of the object will be determined using the property of the object, and that property is known as length. So basically in arrays, in Java, arrays are object, and in order to determine the length, instead of using the size of operator which is being used in C or C++, we will be using the property of the object, and that property is known as length. Now array is in Java, arrays are considered as object, but they can contain primitives as well as non-primitives also. So an array can contain a primitive which could be integer, character, float, etc., and it could contain a non-primitive entity also, which is kind of an object. Now a Java variable can also be declared like other variables with square bracket after the data type, that we have already seen in our example. So here if we say integer days as an example, we can also write it as integer, then the square bracket, and then we can write the name of the array, which is days. So that is also possible. Now one thing which is very important here is, in case of primitive data types, the actual values might be stored in continuous memory location. Why I am saying that might be stored in continuous memory locations? Because JVM or Java Virtual Machine does not guarantee this behavior. In other languages such as C and C++, it is a mandatory requirement that your values are stored, values of array or elements of array are stored in continuous memory location. But in case of Java, it may or may not happen, because JVM does not guarantee this property to hold. Also in case of class objects, that means if the array is of the objects, the actual objects are stored onto the heap. So that is something which we need to be we can say careful with. Now when I was saying that arrays in Java are actually different than arrays in C or C++, why? Because here the creation and initialization of arrays are a different process. Let's see how. The general form of one-dimensional array declaration that we have seen is integer variable name, as we have taken as days, integer days followed by a square bracket, or it could be integer a square bracket days. That is also, like both the general format or both the syntax for array declaration is fine. So in order to declare an array, we are going to use this. But whenever I am saying the declaration is there, the declaration has been established, but no actual array is existing till this point. Although the declaration established says that integer array is an array variable or integer days is an array variable, no actual array is existing till this point. So declaration integer days followed by a square bracket just tells the compiler that this variable, for example days, is going to hold an array of type integer. That's it. Presently actual array is not existing. So it merely tells the compiler that this variable which is named as days is going to hold an array, and that array or that collection I can say is of integer type. Now, in order to link that array with an actual physical array of integer, or in order to link that integer data, or if you are taking it integer ARR or any name it could be, to link this integer data with an actual physical array of integers, one must allocate the memory using new and then assign it into the array. So, that means declaration and instantiating an array in Java are two separate steps. So, when an array is declared, only a reference is being created. Now, what actually a reference is, you need to hold on with this question, because that we will be taking in our upcoming lectures. So, when an array is declared, only a reference of an array is created. In order to create the actual physical array, in order to allot the memory to the array, we need to use the keyword new. Now, please remember, those who are familiar with C++ or any other languages, the new keyword here is kind of, we can say, is for the dynamic allocation of memory for any particular variable. So, when I am using this with the array, that means we are actually providing memory to the array. So, here we can use integer days and then square bracket, and then we can say days is equals to new integer and then the size. So, that means variable name, which is days, because we have already declared one array in the name of days, and that's of an integer type. So, variable name here will be days, is equals to new is a keyword, and then the type is integer and size. So, for example, we want to have so we have named our array as days, so logically we are going to put size as 7. So, integer days square bracket, and the second statement will be days is equals to new integer within the bracket 7. So, here the type, which is new and which is written after the new, so new then integer. So, type specifies the type of data being allocated, size determines the number of elements in the array, and variable name obviously is the name of the array variable that is linked to that array. And here we are using the keyword new in order to allocate an array, and to use the new keyword in order to allocate an array, we must specify the type and the number of elements to allocate. So, here we will be taking a look again. So, days is equals to new integer and within the bracket let us say 7. Let us see this with the help of a complete example. So, in order to declare an array, for example, the name of the array I have taken as int array. So, int array, this is of type integer. Int array itself, in combination is the name of the array variable, and it is of type integer. So, the square bracket followed by integer array, and then int array is equals to new int 20. So, in the first statement, when I am saying int array, that means I am just declaring the array, on just a reference has been created. There is no kind of, I can say, physical array is not existing till this point. Then when I am talking about allocation of memory to this particular int array according to the size which we are going to define, which we will be defining. So, that is known as memory allocation to array, and that memory allocation to array is happening with the help of a keyword new. So, int array is equals to new int 20, or we can combine both the statements here. We have taken the two different statements, one is for the declaration of array and another one is for the allocation of memory to that array. We can combine both the statements in one, and we can write int followed by bracket, the name of the array is equals to new int 20. So, data type or we can say type, then which is followed by the square brackets, then variable name is equals to new type, and within the bracket the size of the array. So combining both the statements in one is also fine, or you can declare it, you can write it separately, which is declaration of the array and allocation of memory to the array. Now next thing which comes up in our mind is, when we are going to create such array, after this declaration and allocation of memory is being allocated to array, what value is it containing? So when we say what value it is containing, so elements in the array allocated by new will automatically be initialized to according to its data type. So if it is for numeric data types, the value which is being stored initially inside the array will be 0. For if it is a boolean type array, then the value, by default value, will be false. And if it is a reference type array we will be seeing in our upcoming lectures, it is null is being stored in this. So basically obtaining an array in Java is actually a two-step process. One is the declaration and another one is the memory allocation. Now what is the bottom line here? The bottom line says, in Java all the arrays are dynamically allocated, and here comes the difference from C and C++, which I was telling you in the starting of the lecture, that the arrays in Java are actually different from arrays in C++, because in case of Java all the arrays are dynamically allocated. So this is what it is. So in this lecture till this point, let us try to summarize what we have taken. So we have started with arrays in Java. We have understood the concept of Java in very short, because I believe that's a familiar topic and you all must be aware of that. And then after just having built a general platform or a general insight into the concept of arrays, we have tried to understood the creation of 1D array in case of Java. So that creation goes differently as compared to C and C++, because that's a two-step process. One is declaration, another one is allocation of memory. And the bottom line says that all the arrays in Java are dynamically allocated. Now this is a perfectly possible situation in case, in any case, that the size of the array is known, as well as variables of array are also, we can say already known. So that means at the time of creation of array, you are aware of the contents of the array and you are sure that this is going to work. So that means we can use, array literals here. So integer and then a bracket int array, that's the name as I have told you, is equals to new int within the bracket, and after this square bracket, all the values which are there which are needed to be stored inside the array are going to are going to be written inside the curly bracket. So this statement int array is equals to new int bracket and 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. This is going to do a lot many things. So first of all, this is a combination of the declaration as well as we can say instantiation. Basically this is related to array literals. So basically an array in the name of int array is being created, and that int array is of type integer. The size is going to be 10 because you have written you have stated the elements 1 2 3 4 till 10. So an array of type integer size 10 will be created, and within the elements of those array, the elements 1 2 3 4 5 6 till 10 will be stored. So the length of this we can say the length of the contents is going to determine the length of the created array, and that's why please notice that apart from this 1 2 3 4 we have not specified the size of the array in the whole creation. So if you can see it is integer, then a blank square bracket, then name of the array, that is the variable type, let us say int array, is equals to new int, and then again a bracket. After that bracket, within the curly braces, we have written the constants, or we have written the values which are stored to be stored inside int array. But in this whole declaration, we have not specified a number corresponding to the size of the array, because the length of the contents is going to determine the length of the created array. And also, if I am going to see some latest versions of Java, there is also no need to write new integer and then bracket. We just say integer, then a square bracket, name of the array is equals to, within the curly brackets, whatever you want to write. So that is also possible here. Now one thing after this array literals which immediately comes into the mind is what will happen that if someone wants to access an element outside the array of the size. This essentially means that, for example, you have created an array of 5 elements, of 5, any type of 5 elements, and the index of those 5 elements starts from 0. So the indexes which are valid are having are 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. But what if that after this declaration in a program, you want to access array 6 or you want to access array 5. So here JVM is going to throw array index out of bound exception in order to indicate that the array which is array has been accessed with an illegal index. So if index is kind of outside the range, I can say that's a simple terminology which I am using here. JVM is going to throw an array index out of bound exception. So this index now when I am saying illegal index, so what could be an illegal index? So illegal index could be a negative index, or it could be greater than for example, you have an array of size 5. So anything greater than 5, or even anything, or then even the number 5. So for example, I am going to access the element at the index 5, which is not possible here, because array indexing in Java always starts from 0. So it goes from 0 to size -1. So in case of 5, it will go from 0 to 4. But if you want to access array 5, that is certainly not possible here. Now, when we talk about the types of arrays here, in case of Java, we have seen that we have one-dimensional array as well as we also have multi-dimensional array. So till this point, whatever we have seen, apart from some general concepts, these the concepts correspond to one-dimensional array. That means the declaration and accessing the element. What I have told you in this lecture was about one-dimensional array. Now coming to the a second kind of type, I can say, which is more commonly known as multi-dimensional array. This multi-dimensional array is actually, I can say, array of arrays. This can be a regular multi-dimensional array, or this could be an irregular multi-dimensional array. So these two types of, first we will try to see what is actually multi-dimensional array, and then we will be seeing regular multi-dimensional array as well as irregular multi-dimensional arrays also. But for that you need to wait for some time, because that is the topic which I am going to take in the next class. So here in this lecture, we have taken the we have taken the concept of arrays very briefly, and then we tried to understood one-dimensional array, their declaration, their instantiation, how these are different from the arrays in C and C++, and what will happen if someone wants to access an array index which is not actually kind of, I can say, legal. So here is the list of references which is being used for the preparation of lecture. Hope you have enjoyed one. I'll see you in the next lecture. Till then, take care. Goodbye.